Shalom Aleichem. Peace be unto you, brothers and sisters. Today it's a beautiful day as usual, and today I'm just inspired to share with you something that may be helpful to a lot of you. Maybe not all, but to a lot. And it's titled Rights. Know your rights. Okay? Many people hear the word rights growing up, you know. Sometimes we say it as a cliche, yeah, that's my right, that's my right, that's my right. And many times you ask people, what does that mean? Most people don't give you a straightforward answer, and sometimes they just like stutter, like they never thought about it. I mean, they have an idea, but they're not sure what the proper definition of the word right mean. Well, I'm going to share today with you. So after you watch this video, if you never knew before, it emboldens you to understand your rights more and could express it even more better. Number one, the word right, right? Our rights came from the Almighty Creator, okay? Whether a person believes in the Almighty or not, it doesn't matter. The Almighty exists and He's our Creator, and He gave us rights. These rights are summoned in three basic principles: life, liberty, or freedom, if you want to call it that way, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what the Almighty put us on the earth for: to worship Him as a part of our life, to have our freedom to make our conscious right decisions, and to have happiness, to be blessed and enjoy life, we and our families. So what happened as time goes by, you know, people work every day, and we need these natural rights, which I'm going to tell you in a minute what they are. We need them protected. So what the people do all over the earth, the people farm from among themselves a group of people that they call government. So these government people looks out and protects our right that came from the Almighty. Okay? In other words, these people what we elect or select as government, they don't give us rights. They don't have the authority to give us rights. Neither can they take away our rights. What they have the ability to do, we give them the consent to protect our unalienable rights. Now, what is rights? I'm going to break it out. The framers of this Constitution in America, there's a lot of controversy, but I'm going to cover both sides. Yes, they have done a lot of evil, but they also did a lot of good, and I'm going to show you both sides. When they first came here and they set up the Constitution, yes, people of dark complexion, so-called black people, they were not included in it. That is true, because when the Constitution was put together in 1787 first, then 1789, the so-called black man was still in chains. There was no doubt about that, because the Constitution of the United States is a granddaughter of the Magna Carta, the Great Charter of England, that was signed by King John on June 15 of the year 1215 of the Common Era. It became the grandfather for our modern day Constitution. So yes, the so-called black man was still in chains in those things. So when you read, for example, number 38, 39 of the Magna Carta, it talk about no free man shall be exiled, put in prison, or his property taken away without a trial of a jury by his peer. Notice it start by saying free man. That only goes for the free man. The so-called black man was not free at the time, so that doesn't apply to him. Now, they brought that into America. Now, when they brought it here, yes, they were saying things in theory, the right things, but they were not practicing it in a practical sense. For example, at the Declaration of Independence, they say, we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, which among these are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To preserve these rights, government were instituted amongst men, deriving its just powers from the consent of the governed. Okay, so they said it right there. All of that they say is true. We have unalienable right by our Creator. All men, when the Creator created us, all men are equal. But they don't practice that. They only say it because it's the right thing, but they didn't practice it. Now let's go about unalienable. The word unalienable, it means a duty. It means it came from the Almighty, and it's non-transferable. So our rights that the Almighty gave us, nobody can take away our rights, because nobody gave us. Okay? And they're inherent, means we have them from birth. We have them from birth. Unalienable. So unalienable rights mean we get these rights from the Creator himself, okay? No man give it to us, we get them from the Almighty. It's a duty and it's non-transferable, meaning somebody can't come and say, you know what, I'm going to take your rights. I'm not going to take your rights away. It's non-transferable. It cannot happen like that. The next thing to America is a republic. I hear people all the time talking about democracy, democracy, democracy. Many people don't understand what that means. The word democracy came from Latin Greco, which means demo means mob rule. Okay? In a democracy is mob rule. A republic is different. In a republic, it's one man, one vote. It's a consent by government, meaning government cannot do anything without the consent of the people. It's opposite to a dictatorship. Once you cannot, once the government doesn't require your consent anymore to do things, it is the definition of a dictatorship. And we all see throughout history what a dictatorship is. So our rights are unalienable, meaning they came from the Almighty. They are a duty to perform, and the duty that we are performing is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, and it's non-transferable. Government cannot come and say, you know what, I'm going to take away your right. For example, if you notice, everything that we do, we have to sign on it with the government. You know why? Guess why? It's very simple. Because we have to give them our consent, because it's a government by consent. And anybody want to find the proof of this is Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, which states that every state in the Union is guaranteed a republican form of government. Okay? It's a government by consent, people. Okay? Don't let them fool you. It's not a democracy. However, they're calling it democracy and they're forcing it into a democracy, but it's a republic by law. Okay, always remember that. For example, 1 USC 204, they call it the prima facie or prima facie. Prima facie means at first evidence, meaning when they look at a situation, whatever it seems like at first evidence, that's what it looks like, but then it needs rebuttal. So 1 USC 204, it have like a 50 something, I think it was about 54 codes. Okay, these are not laws, they are codes, and I'm going to explain in a moment the difference between laws and codes. These codes, some of them are positive and some of them are non-positive. Positive codes, which they call positive law, applies to everybody. For example, murder. If somebody commit murder, you have no exception. Sometimes people make jokes and say unless you're a police officer. I understand the humor, but no one have any exception to murder. Okay? Murder is murder. Anybody who commit murder shall be tried and prosecuted. Okay? Excuse me. Murder. So this is under 1 USA. Now, a non-positive code, it just means that it's non-positive, meaning it's not forced upon us. It can only be done through consent. Okay? For example, the Social Security Act, it is non-positive, meaning nobody can force us into having Social Security. It's non-positive. We volunteer into the program through the consent of signature. Okay? So that's the difference between positive and non-positive. Now, laws and codes and statutes are different. Okay? What are statutes? There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of statutes. What statutes are? Statutes are bylaws made by corporation and legislative bodies. An example of this is this. Florida, Georgia, Massachusetts, California. These are different jurisdictions who have their own different statutes. And let's use Florida because I'm in Florida. The Florida driver's license, for example, is governed by statute. Okay? Nobody can force us to have a driver's license, but whosoever chooses to have a driver's license, they require our signature, meaning we give them our consent. And when we give that consent, we are giving the consent that we're going to abide by the terms of the driver's license. Okay? And then that driver's license is governed by the statute. Who made the statute? The legislative body for the driver's license. Bylaws, very similar. For example, Walmart. Walmart is a company and they make their own bylaws. Now, the bylaws for Walmart only applies to the employees of Walmart. They doesn't apply to anybody who's not a part of Walmart. So it's the same thing with the statutes. For example, when we violate the terms of the driver's license, they hold it against us because we violate what we agreed to. But a person who did not sign up for that driver's license term cannot apply to them because they never consented to it. Okay? It's a government by consent. Always remember that in the back of your head. It is a government by consent. Laws only apply to what the United States Supreme Court states. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. This is in Article 6, where it says, let me quote part of it. This Constitution and the laws pursuant shall be the supreme law of the land. And then went further by saying, every judge in every state must be bound by oath thereof. Those of the legislative, executive, and the judiciary branch are bound by oath thereof. Okay? It is a supreme law. Anything that contradicts the Constitution is null and void. If a statute conflicts the Constitution, which it does many times, that statute is null and void. There was a famous case law known as Marbury versus Madison. This was done in 1803. It is the most cited case law in the United States history. Cannot be overturned because it's the core basis of the Constitution, and the Constitution is still the supreme law of the land. So what that means is this. In Marbury versus Madison, the court judges states clearly that any act, any law, statute, code, whatever, if it violates the Constitution or if it's repugnant, contradict, goes against the Constitution, it's null and void. That is how simple it is. But what we see sometimes, we have seen dictators that are creeping up within the US government, and they're ignoring these basic oath that they swore to this oath, but yet still sometimes they're turning a blind eye to justice and trying to force this thing without the consent upon we the people. Okay? That's another word I just mentioned, justice. Many times we use it. What justice just means, it comes from the Hebrew word sedek or sadik, which means righteous ruling, right decision, repair, reparation. That's justice. For example, if somebody was robbed and the culprit was caught and they go to court and the victim is saying, I need justice, or the court should give me justice. What that means is the court should repair the person who was injured. In other words, allow the perpetrator to repair the person who was the victim back to their natural state or their normal state before they were injured. That's what justice is. And then the culprit have to pay a price for, or a punishment, a punitive damage for what he have done. Okay? So that's what justice is. So sometimes I hear people running around, justice, I need justice. They don't know what justice is. We cannot have justice without repair. We cannot have justice without repair. We cannot have justice without right ruling. Okay? They all go together. And these are just basic. And the states, every state in the union, they have to make laws that are in conformity with the Constitution. Otherwise, those state laws are null and void. In the 10th Amendment, the founders, they left it up to the state where the Constitution is silent, because the Constitution obviously cannot talk about everything that exists. So what they did, they left like a blank check saying, look, whatever the Constitution is silent on, it's up to the state or the people to make that decision. As long as the decision that the people are making is within the confines of the Constitution. Okay? One last one for now. The Second Amendment. That one is under attack a lot. It's one of the most attacked one. Why? It says a well-regulated militia is necessary for a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. These people don't understand what keep and bear arms mean. Let's break it up. The word keep means ownership. Okay? Bear means you carry it. So people have a right to own their weapon and carry it, of course, with common sense in a safe manner. Okay? What happened, the state come around now and try to tax it and try to say, well, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, or you're restricted to this, you have to get a license. Listen to this, people. The state or anybody or any government cannot license a right. Let me say it again. A right cannot be licensed. Nobody can license a right. If they could do that, then they could license our speech. And they're trying to do that, believe it or not. Free speech is not free speech as we know it. There is some catch to it, but that's for another time. So I'm just sharing some of this. So our rights are duty from the Almighty. Nobody can transfer them. They don't come from government. They are from the Almighty, and they have to be protected by we the people through a group that we choose from among us that we call government. So until then, I could stay all day, all week on this topic because I know this like the back of my hand. Okay? There's a lot of things that we need to study and learn. Why? They protect us in our everyday going. When we know our rights and we know the law, we can be protected. How can we be protected if we don't know our rights? How can we defend our rights if we don't know it? We have to know our rights. In America, for example, people used to be taught in school constitutional courses. And they used to have what is known in September as Constitutional Day. Why? The idea is so that that we the people can keep on being abreast of these rights and make sure that the government keep following them. But we have to know them. So they used to have this class. Guess what? Lo and behold, there are dangerous groups that came in. And when they came in, they came in as enemies of the people. And they tried to suppress. And they're trying to destroy the Constitution that protects our rights. And that is going on right now as we speak. One last thing. A lot of people come to me sometimes and say, yeah, but the so-called black man, this Constitution doesn't apply to him. I said, let me explain something to you. That's true and it's not true. Let me explain what I mean by that. Like I said, it's true. When it was declared or signed into law, we were not supposed to be a part of it. But in theory, they were saying that we're all equal. But the main part is this. We, the people, all people, but in this context, the black man that they're saying not supposed to act like that Constitution apply to him. We, the people, the so-called black man also, his rights also does not come from the government. His right came from the Almighty. The Almighty created us. We existed long before there was a Constitution. So our rights came from the Almighty. So what we do, because we live in this system, we live in this world, we work, a lot of the people have children here, grow up here, generation. So we have to be protected by the same overall law that they gave us in theory, that all men are created equal. And that is a fact. So yes, don't look at the Constitution as, oh, it wasn't done for us. So no, use it. Use it to protect your right, because our rights came from the Almighty and we existed long before there was America. So the rights that was inflicted upon us, we are going to apply it here also. Okay? Always remember that. So until then, Israel, Shalom Aleichem, peace be unto you, and we'll talk again. Shalom.